Hello and welcome to another Big Orbit unboxing video. I'm Chris and today we'll be looking at Amonkhet and we'll be opening a booster box. So 36 boosters. Let's just get started. So I'll go over a few of the new mechanics in the set as well. See if we pick up any interesting cards. I'll be looking out for the invocations, obviously. The Amonkhet version of Masterpieces. So let's move that to the back and just get opening, I guess. So I'll skip over most of the commons and uncommons unless there's anything particularly interesting. The first one is fairly interesting actually. So Winged Shepherd. 5 and a white for a 3/3 angel with flying and vigilance, and cycling is back in the set, which is always good. So this has cycling, 1 white, so you discard this card and draw a card. So if it's early game, you got this stuck in your hand, cycle it. So cycling is always useful, and the fun thing is we have cycling and madness and delirium all in standard at the moment. So delirium decks could be fun with this. Hieroglyphic Illumination, Splendid Agony, Anointed Priest, another new mechanic actually. Well, this is a new mechanic, cycling isn't, but this is. So Anointed Priest is 1 and a white for a 1/3 human cleric, and whenever a creature token enters the battlefield under your control, you gain 1 life. And it has Embalm, which is new. So Embalm, when this is in your graveyard, you can exile it and create a token which is a copy of this, except it's a white zombie in addition to its other types. We'll probably see a lot of the tokens as well because they tend to put the Embalm tokens in a lot of the packs. So this actually works with itself, so when you Embalm it, you'll gain a life as well. So we've got Soul Stinger, -1/-1 counters are a thing as well. So this is 3 and a black for a 4/5 Scorpion Demon. When it enters the battlefield, put 2 -1/-1 counters on target creature you control, which can be itself if necessary. When it dies, you may put a -1/-1 counter on target creature for each -1/-1 counter on Soul Stinger. So when this dies, all those counters that you've put on it, you can transfer onto your opponent's creatures. So pretty cool. Hooded Brawler. Again, we're getting all the mechanics in this pack. So 2 and a green for a 3/2 Naga Warrior, and you can exert it when it attacks. So exerting means it doesn't untap during your next untap step, but you get an immediate benefit when you do exert. So this gets +2/+2 till the end of turn, but you will be unable to block with it in your opponent's turn, and it won't untap during your next turn, so you've got like a turn where you can't use it. Tormenting Voice is back. Great Sandworm, Luxor River Shrine. So there's shrines as well in the set. So this is 3 mana for an artifact. You can pay 1 and tap it to gain a life, and you put a brick counter on the shrine. So brick counters are just another counter. And you can also, the second ability is you can tap it to gain 2 life, and you can activate that ability only if there are 3 or more brick counters on Luxor River Shrine. So you have to build it up, and then you use the better ability. Minotaur Sure Shot and Crop Crasher. So this is a cool red creature with exert. So 2 and a red for a 3/2 with haste, and you can exert it, and a target creature can't block this turn if you do. Decimator Beetle works well with the -1/-1 counters. Vizier of Deferment, and our rare in the pack is Gideon's Intervention, which is an enchantment for 2 and 2 white. As it enters the battlefield, choose a card name. Your opponents can't cast spells with the chosen name, and prevent all damage that would be dealt to you and permanents you control by sources with the chosen name. So a good way to shut down your opponent's plans. and a forest, and our token is a beast token. So, there's a lot in that pack to talk about. So, Emberhorn Minotaur, Decision Paralysis, Retcrop Spearmaster, Floodwaters, Wandering Death, Essence Scatter, Scribe of the Mindful, Thresher Lizard, Colossopede, Destined to Lead. So these are the split cards of the set. Kind of weird way of doing it. They look very strange, these cards. So the first half you always cast from your hand, and then the second half is always cast from your graveyard with the Aftermath rule. So the first half is 1 and a black, and target creature gets +1/+0 and gains indestructible until end of turn. And the Aftermath part is lead, so 3 and a green for a sorcery. All creatures able to block target creature this turn do so. So you cast it from your graveyard and you exile it. So you can cast both in the same turn as well if you choose to. And they tend to work well together, the split cards. Limits of Solidarity, Honoured Crop Captain, and another Gideon's Intervention. What are the chances, right? Ooh, and we also have a foil, Vizier of Deferment, which was also in the pack as a non-foil. So 2 and a white for a 2/2 Human Cleric Flash, and when it enters the battlefield you may exile target creature if it attacked or blocked this turn. Return that card to the battlefield under its owner's control at the beginning of your next end step. So you can block and stop your creature from taking damage by exiling it and returning it. And the token is the Unwavering Initiate. So, like I said before, when you embalm a creature, it comes back as one of these tokens, and it has the extra parts. So it's a zombie human warrior, 3/2 with vigilance. Knocking the camera over there. So impeccable timing. Festering Mummies are an interesting one actually. So 1 black for a 1/1 zombie, and when it dies you can put a -1/-1 counter on target creature, whether it be your own or your opponent's. Cradle of the Accursed, so deserts are back. There's a couple of deserts in the set. So this, you can tap it to add colourless to your mana pool, or pay 3 and sacrifice it to create a 2/2 black zombie creature token. And you can only activate it whenever you can cast a sorcery. So, late game, useful to get that extra body in if you need it. Spring to Mind, another split card. Embalmer's Tools, pretty useful artifact for 2. Activated abilities of creature cards in your graveyard cost 1 less to activate, so it works really well with Embalm. If you're playing an Embalm heavy deck, it'll be a lot cheaper to get your creatures back. You can also tap an untapped zombie you control, and target player puts the top card of his or her library into his or her graveyard. Battlefield Scavenger, Fetid Pools. So this is the new series of lands, the cycle lands, or the bicycle lands as some people are calling them. So this is an island swamp, and you can tap it to add blue or black. It does enter the battlefield tapped, but it has cycling, so normally you draw a land late game and you're like, oh great, I top decked land, that was not useful at all. Whereas these, you top deck a land, it's not as big of a problem because you can just pay 2 and get a new card, which hopefully isn't a land. And then we also have the token, which is you can pop these out, like it's designed to kind of pop those tokens out, so you can remember when things have been exerted, embalmed. You can keep track of how many brick counters are on something, or -1/-1 counters. And it's double-sided as well, so very useful. cancel, just counter a spell. A bit expensive, but you know, wizards have been going that way with counter spells, making them more expensive, or just extra things, like hoops you have to jump through to get it to work. Final reward, just expensive, but exile target creature, so good. Getting rid of embalmed creatures. There's the other desert from the set, or one of them. There may be more. So when it enters the battlefield, it deals 1 damage to target player, and just add colourless to your mana pool. And Crop Crasher again. Weaver of Currents is an interesting one. So 1, a green and a blue, for a 2/2 Naga Druid, and you tap it to add 2 colourless to your mana pool. So pretty good ramp. Arketra's Attendant, 3 and 2 white for a 3/3 bird soldier with flying, and cycling as well, and Embalm. So yeah, this does everything. Anointed Procession is it's a useful rare actually. So 3 and a white for an enchantment. If an effect would create 1 or more tokens under your control, it creates twice that many of those tokens instead. So great with Embalm, you're getting double the Embalm tokens back. Great with other strategies as well, like if you happen to be playing like 3-color Whirl of Virtuoso decks, as an example, you can pay your energy and get double the number of Thopters instead, so pretty cool. Lots of uses for that. And we have a warrior token. Illusionary Wrappings, it basically just, well, you enchant a creature for 2 and a blue, and enchanted creature has base power and toughness 0/2, so it still has its activated abilities, so you're not shutting it down completely, but if they've just got a big dude on the board, you can make it not so big. They can still block with it, unfortunately, but you know. Supernatural Stamina's an interesting one. Cartouche of Knowledge. So there's a cartouche for each colour. The blue one is 1 and a blue to enchant a creature you control. When it enters the battlefield, draw a card, so it replaces itself, which is always good. And the enchanted creature gets +1/+1 and has flying, so solid card overall. Avian Initiate, Haze of Pollen, more Desert, Sixth Sense, Trial of Strength, Lay Bare the Heart, so target opponent reveals his or her hand, you choose a non-legendary, non-land card from it, and that player discards that card for 1 and a black, so good at shutting down your opponent's strategies. And we have Shadow of the Grave, so this is a great card with cycling. So 1 and a black for an instant, return to your hand all cards in your graveyard that you cycled or discarded this turn. So in discard or cycling strategies, this is just a solid card for getting all those cards back. And a mountain and another warrior token. Brawler, June Beetle. Magma Spray's alright, I suppose. It's 1 red for an instant. Deals 2 damage to target creature. If it would die this turn, exile it instead. Great against Embalm. Tormenting Voice again. Lay Claim. Ronus's Monument. So there's a monument for each god. So there's a god for each colour. This is 3 mana for a legendary artifact, and green creature spells you cast cost 1 less to cast. And whenever you cast a creature spell, target creature you control gets +2/+2 and gains trample until end of turn. So this is probably one of the better monuments. Just generally making stuff cheaper in green is great, and the fact that you get the +2/+2 and trample is really, really good. Green likes big dudes with trample. Hepatra's Mark, and the rare is Mouths to Feed. So the first half is create a 3/3 hippo creature token for 2 and a green at sorcery speed. and then the aftermath is 3 and a green. You exile it when you cast it from your graveyard, and draw a card for each creature you control with power 3 or greater. Card drawing green is always good, so again, solid card. We have a cat token. Gustwalker's a fun one as well, so 1 and a white for a 2/2 human wizard, and you can exert it to give it +1/+1 and flying until end of turn, because, you know, wind. Gift of Paradise is actually useful for ramping, so 2 and a green for an enchantment. You enchant a land, and when it enters the battlefield you gain 3 life, and the land has tap it to add 2 mana of any colour to your mana pool. So useful for fixing, useful for ramp. Embalmer's Tool, Time to Reflect, Reduce to Rubble. Throne of the God Pharaoh. So 2 for a legendary artifact. At the beginning of your end step, each opponent loses life equal to the number of tapped creatures you control. So, yeah, I mean, you can go all in with Exert. Exert all your guys to get all their benefits, and then at the end of the turn, even if you only just attacked rather than exerting, your opponent's still going to lose life equal to the number of those creatures. So another strategy you could potentially go with. Stinging Shot, good way to deal with flyers, and it doesn't really have a downside. Like, you can mainboard it in theory because it's got cycling, so even if your opponent's not playing flyers, you've got the ability to just use the card rather than it just being a dead card. Fling is back. I love Fling. It's just a fun card, really. So 1 and a red to at instant speed. As an additional cost, sacrifice a creature, and Fling deals damage equal to the sacrificed creature's power to target creature or player. So you're essentially just like throwing your creatures at their face, which you can't not like that. It's just going to be funny. True Heart Twins, Aven Wind Guide, Blood Rage Brawler, and our rare is Approach of the Second Sun. So this is a grey alt win condition. 6 and a white for a sorcery. If Approach of the Second Sun was cast from your hand and you've cast another spell named Approach of the Second Sun this game, you win the game. Otherwise, put Approach of the Second Sun into its owner's library 7th from the top and you gain 7 life. There's going to be people having this just in their deck as an alt win condition or building entire strategies around, and it's going to be funny. And Tarkrop Skirmisher is our token. Another Embalm creature. Again, not that much interesting there. Lord of the Accursed is though, so 2 and a black for a 2/3 zombie, and other zombies you control get +1/+1. And you can pay 1 and a black and tap the Lord of the Accursed, and all zombies gain menace until end of turn. So, zombies are a thing, again. Like, this works well in Embalm decks if you're running white, as well as black, to get the extra bonuses, or if you're just going all in on black with a zombie theme, it's a good card. Another bonus is Monument, Labyrinth Guardian, and the rare is Insult to Injury. So 2 and a red for a sorcery. Damage can't be prevented this turn. If a source you control would deal damage this turn, it deals double that damage instead. It's pretty good. And then Injury, Aftermath, so exile it from your graveyard when you cast it. 2 and a red Injury deals 2 damage to target creature and 2 damage to target player. So if you cast both in the same turn, it's 4 damage to target creature, 4 damage to target player, which can't be prevented. But ideally you just want this to go off and you just deal a load of damage in one go. We have a swamp, and we have a foil quarry hauler, which is a camel. So 3 and a green for a 4/3. When it enters the battlefield, for each kind of counter on target permanent, put another counter of that kind on it, or remove one from it, which is quite important. So you can remove things like -1/-1 counters from your own creatures. You can remove loyalty counters from planeswalkers that your opponent controls. You can add them onto the planeswalkers you control. It's a pretty versatile card, actually. Especially as green has a lot of counter interaction. Ooh, I see something shiny at the back. I'm kind of happy about that. I kind of just want to skip to the end now. Kefnet's Monument. So this is the blue monument. Bloodrage Brawler. Vizier of the Menagerie. Nice. So our first mythic. So 3 and a green for a 3/4 Naga Cleric. You may look at the top card of your library. You may do this at any time. You may cast the top card of your library if it's a creature card, and you may spend mana as though it were mana of any type to cast creature spells. So I can see this being it's a build around card, really. Like I can see it coming through in quite a few decks. We have a mountain. Oh, and we have a Invocation Counterspell. Let's get rid of the rest of the cards, shall we? Because that's all we're really interested in now. Make space for the mythic. So, the invocations, some people really don't like them. I do like them. I wish the artwork was a tiny bit bigger, because they look very, very nice. It's just, I feel the border's too big. So this is just plain old counterspell, but in nice foil invocation form. I'm just going to keep doing this for a minute or so because it's just so pretty. Kind of mesmerizing. So yeah, very cool. Let's put that to one side as well, and then get rid of these commons and uncommons, because let's face it, nothing can compare to that now. So I'd say good box so far. Decent mythic and an invocation from the same pack, no less. The red cartouche is pretty good actually. So red, well, 1 red to enchant a creature you control. When it enters the battlefield, target creature can't block this turn. Doesn't have to be the creature you enchanted, just as an aside. So you obviously want to target one of your opponent's creatures. And the enchanted creature gets +1/+1 and has haste. So pretty good for 1 red mana. Honed Kopesh. Trial of Knowledge. Bontu's Monuments. This is the black monument. And this is whenever you cast a creature spell, each opponent loses 1 life and you gain 1 life. And black creature spells cost 1 less to cast. Scaled Behemoth. And the rare is pulled from Tomorrow. So solid, just card draw in blue, 2 blue and X, and draw X cards, then discard a card. Evolving Wild is back as well. Pouncing Cheetah, decent green flash creature. Bone Picker, this one could, well, it has potential, so it's 3 and a black for a 3/2 flying Death Touch bird. but it costs 3 less to cast if a creature died this turn, which in a lot of black strategies, that is really, really easy to pull off. So you're essentially getting a 3/2 flying death touch bird for 1 black. Patch's Mark, Vizier of Tumbling Sands, and Dread Wanderer is our rare. So 1 black for a 2/1 zombie jackal. It enters the battlefield tapped, but it does have the ability 2 and a black to return it from the graveyard to the battlefield. Activate it only time you can cast a sorcery, and only if you have 1 or fewer cards in hand. So it's just going to keep coming back unless it gets exiled. So pretty solid. Ooh, and we have a foil mythic as well. Good box is good. Bontu the Glorified. So this is one of the gods, the black god in fact. So 2 and a black for a 4/6 god. It has Menace and Indestructible. And Bontu the Glorified can't attack or block unless a creature died under your control this turn. Luckily, his other ability is pay 1 and a black to sacrifice another creature and scry 1. Each opponent loses 1 life and you gain 1 life. So you can sacrifice a creature with no downside if it's like a 1/1 token or something like that. Or even anything that's smaller than a 4/6 with Menace is going to be worth sacrificing. So pretty cool. Let's add that there. Trial of Ambition. So trials, I don't recall seeing one yet actually, unless I have already gone through them. So there's a trial, like the cartouches and the gods, there's a trial for each colour. This is the black one, obviously, so 1 and a black for an enchantment. When it enters the battlefield, target opponent sacrifices a creature. So it's already pretty solid for 2. The best part though is when a cartouche enters the battlefield under your control, return Trial of Ambition to its owner's hand. So you can just keep getting this art. Like, yeah, you play a cartouche, you return this back to your hand, you play it again, your opponent sacrifices another creature. You play another cartouche, and over and over and over again. Yeah, the trials are pretty solid cards actually, and they work really well with the cartouches, which is the point of them really. Gale Strike, Exemplar of Strength, and Plague Belcher is our rare in the pack. So it's a 5/4 zombie beast for 2 and a black with Menace. When it enters the battlefield, put 2 -1/-1 counters on target creature you control. Whenever another zombie you control dies, each opponent loses 1 life. So, yeah, I mean, nothing really bad you can say about it. At worst, you're paying 3 mana for a 3/2 with Menace, because you can put the counters on it itself. If you've got a way to put the counters on your opponent's creatures with some of the other -1/-1 interactions, you can obviously put the counters on something else, and just, it's not really that relevant, the other ability. Whenever a zombie dies, each opponent loses 1 life, but it's not a downside. Another solid card. Blue cartouche, the white cartouche, which is 1 white to enchant the creature you control. When it enters the battlefield, create a 1/1 white warrior creature token with vigilance. An enchanted creature gets +1/+1 and has first strike. It's a solid card for 1 mana really. Seen a lot of Evolving Wilds. Wayward Servant, so 1 white and a black for a 2/2 zombie. So white and black zombies is kind of the theme, really, because of Embalm, and just generally black has zombies in it. So whenever another zombie enters the battlefield under your control, each opponent loses 1 life and you gain 1 life. So pretty solid if you get it on the board early and then just play a bunch of zombies. True Heart Duelist, Enigma Drake, the upgraded version of Chimera. So 1 blue and a red for a star 4 Drake with flying, and its power is equal to the number of instant and sorcery cards in your graveyard. So spell heavy decks tend to be blue, red, and this will kind of slot straight into that. It's a solid card, and the 4 toughness is pretty important because, for instance, in Modern it doesn't die to Lightning Bolt. Ooh, and Canyon Slough is our rare. So another cycle land. This one is black-red. Very useful. And we also have Consuming Fervor as our foil. 1 red for an enchantment. Enchanted creature gets +3/+3 and has, at the beginning of your upkeep, put a -1/-1 counter on this creature. So you're getting an immediate +3/+3 for 1 mana, with the downside of in future turns it's going to get slightly weaker. But honestly, you're playing red, you just want to end the game as quick as possible. So yeah, I feel I should move. There you go, Bontu can go there, because, you know. Splendid Agony, Cartouche of Strength, Supernatural Stamina, Painted Bluffs, another Desert, so add colours to your mana pool, or you can pay 1, tap it and add 1 mana of any colour to your mana pool, so it's just decent colour fixing. Brute Strength, Grasping Dunes, another Desert, so add colours to your mana pool, or you can pay 1 and sacrifice it to put a -1/-1 counter on target creature. Yeah, pretty solid late game, especially if you're playing a minus counter deck. Trial of Zeal is the red trial. So 2 and a red for an enchantment. When it enters the battlefield, it deals 3 damage to target creature or player. 3 damage for 3 isn't great, but the fact that you can keep casting it over and over again every time you play a cartouche is great. Uncropped Champion, Heart Piercer Manticore is the rare. So 2 and 2 red for a 4/3 Manticore. When it enters the battlefield, you may sacrifice another creature. When you do, Heart Piercer Manticore deals damage equal to that creature's power to target creature or player. It's essentially Embalm with a... not Embalm. It's Fling with a body, which... yeah, nothing wrong with that. It's pretty cool, actually. And it also does have Embalm for 6. So you can do that all over again if it's in your graveyard. So I like that card. Magma Spray. So we've got Baleful Amit. So this is one of the -1/-1 strategy cards. So 2 and a black for a 4/3 with lifelink. And when it enters the battlefield, put a -1/-1 counter on target creature you control. Pretty solid for the stats for the mana cost. Yeah, you get the -1/-1 counter, but it's only 1, and it does have lifelink, which is a relevant ability. So pretty good. Watchful Naga. 2 and a green for a 2/2 wizard. You can exert it as it attacks, and you can draw a card if you do. Gate to the Afterlife. This one's funny because it's 3 mana for an artifact. Whenever a non-token creature you control dies, you gain 1 life. Then you may draw a card. If you do, discard a card. Second ability is kind of useless at the moment, so it's 2 and tap it to sacrifice Gate to the Afterlife. Search your graveyard, hand and or library for a card named God Pharaoh's Gift. Put it onto the battlefield. If you search your library this way, shuffle it. Activate this ability only if there are 6 or more creature cards in your graveyard. Best thing about that is currently, as of recording, there is no card named God Pharaoh's Gift. It's going to be in the next set, most likely. So, yeah, the second ability on that card is useless currently. Rags to Riches is our rare. So 2 and 2 black. For a sorcery, all creatures get -2/-2 until end of turn. It's an alright board wipe. Well, potential board wipe. But then you've got the Aftermath Riches, which is each opponent chooses a creature he or she controls. You gain control of those creatures. Yeah, I mean, if you're playing Commander, Riches is going to be fun. Playing like 4 or 5 player Commander, you get 4 creatures. Can't complain. And even in Standard, you know, it's not that bad. It's expensive, but you know, it's still useful, I suppose. Tarkrop Elite, Curse Minotaur. Ooh, Trespasser's Curse. So 1 and a black to enchant a player. Whenever a creature enters the battlefield under enchanted player's control, that player loses 1 life and you gain 1 life. If Felidar Guardian had not been banned last night, as of recording, this would have seen a lot of play to try and shut down the Saheeli combo. As is, we'll probably still see a bit of play, mostly sideboard, I'd imagine. Just because if anyone's trying to go wide with creatures, they're going to kill themselves. Lord of the Accursed Zombies, Open into Wonder. Where have I gone with that? Okay, commons. Defiant Greatmaw and Aven Mind Sensor. Nice. Is that rare? So 2 and a white for a 2/1 Bird Wizard. It has flash and flying, and if an opponent would search a library, that player searches the top 4 cards of that library instead. Yeah, so say goodbye to tutoring. You're only looking at the first top 4 instead. Amusingly, that card shuts down both of the Planeswalker decks from this set, which both have cards in them that let you search your library for the Planeswalker from the pack. So the White Trial, the Trial of Solidarity. It's probably the weakest of them, like in a vacuum. So 2 and a white for an enchantment. When it enters the battlefield, creatures you control get +2/+1 and vigilance until an end of turn, and you can return it to your hand with a cartouche and obviously replay it later on. It's not bad. It's probably the worst of the trials. Grasping Dunes. And By Force, so another one that could see play, especially with the standard meta. So X and red to destroy X target artifacts. Very useful for getting rid of those pesky vehicles. And Bond to the Glorified. We've had a foil one, so why not have a non-foil too? So I don't need to go over this again, but it's just kind of nice that we got 2. Yeah, thought that was an uncommon. Yeah, it's the white monument. Oh, and Ronus, very nice. 2 gods back to back. So Ronus the Indomitable. 2 and a green for a 5/5 legendary creature god. He has Death Touch and Indestructible, and he can't attack or block unless you control another creature with power 4 or greater. But his second ability enables that with 2 and a green, another target creature gets +2/+0 and gains trample until end of turn. So he sort of activates himself as long as you've got a weenie creature with at least 2 power on the board. Yeah, of all the gods, this one is probably the easiest to enable. Should probably see play, I would imagine. Yeah, he's like just a solid card, really. And Death Touch, I mean, it's like, and Indestructible, so they can chump block, but even if it's high toughness stuff, it's gonna die. And we have a Soul Stinger as our foil. Foil's not really coming off on the camera there, but there it goes. So it enters the battlefield, put 2 -1/-1 counters on target creature you control, and when it dies, you may put a -1/-1 counter on target creature for each -1/-1 counter on Soul Stinger. So 3 and a black for a 4/5. So you can either have it as like a cheap 4/5, or and put the counters on something else, or just load it up with counters and then just kill it off, even with the counters, just to get rid of an opponent's creature. So some interesting ways you can use that card, really. I think that's what I like about this set so far, is like the mechanics. They're not just like, you're not set on just one strategy with them, like there's multiple things you can do. Shefet Monitor. In fact, the cycling on that's pretty interesting. So 5 and a green for a 6/5 lizard. Cycling 3 and a green. When you cycle it, you can search your library for a basic land or a desert card, put it onto the battlefield, then shuffle your library. So it's pretty good. I've actually seen somebody saying you can disrupt Saheeli combo with that. Not that that's a thing anymore, but essentially you search for the desert that deals 1 damage when it enters play, and you deal the damage to Saheeli and it stops the combo. Watchers of the Dead, Censor, and Soul Scar Mage is our rare. So 1 red for a 1/2 human wizard with prowess. If a source you control would deal non-combat damage to a creature an opponent controls, put that many -1/-1 counters on that creature instead. So this is actually great against certain other strategies, because you're putting the counters on instead of just straight up damage. It's great against the gods, who are all indestructible. Yeah, I mean, there's no downside really to putting -1/-1 counters on, unless they're playing a -1 counter strategy where they actually want the counters. And a Drake token. Just whizzing through now. Ooh, fling. I'm definitely going to build a fling deck. And Dusk to Dawn is our rare. Dusk is 2 and 2 white for sorcery. Destroy all creatures with power 3 or greater. And Dawn, the aftermath effect. So exile it when you cast it. 3 and 2 white. Return all creature cards with power 2 or less from your graveyard to your hand. So pretty solid. Kill off your opponent's big stuff, and your own big stuff, but get all your weenie stuff back to replay it for value. Should work very, very well in the black-white zombie theme. Synchronized Strike, Gravedigger, Cryptic Serpent, and Hazoret's Favor. So it's for an enchantment, so 2 and a red for an enchantment. At the beginning of combat on your turn, you may have target creature you control get +2/+0 and gain haste until end of turn. If you do, sacrifice at the beginning of your next end step. So you're going all in, basically, as red tends to do. You're sacrificing the creature at the end of your turn. But, yeah, there's a few ways around that as well. The one off the top of my head I can think of is Glorious End, one of the new mythics. But yeah, you're basically playing a creature, getting +2/+0 and haste, so you can just chip in with that extra damage all the time. Where's that going? Oh, foil Full Art Island, very shiny. I do like the Full Art lands that they did in this set. Like all of them with the Bolas horns and just very epic looking. So we've got Trial of Solidarity and Limits of Solidarity. Time to Reflect and Sheltered Thicket. Again, can't complain at getting the land cards as a rare because you know you're going to buy them. So another Full Art Island and Wrecked Crop Spearmaster as our foil. Looks quite nice. And you can exert it and it gets +1/+0 and first strike until end of turn. A little bit expensive, but it's a common, what do you expect? So Trial of Strength. This is the green trial, so 2 and a green for an enchantment. When it enters the battlefield, create a 4/2 green beast creature token. And again, when a cartouche enters, you can return it to your hand. So you can just load your board with 4/2 beasts. Vizier of Tumbling Sands, Ruthless Sniper, and Liliana's Mastery. I do actually really like this card. So it's 3 and 2 black for an enchantment. Zombies you control get +1/+1, and when it enters the battlefield, create 2/2 black zombie creature tokens. So you're paying 5 mana, to get 2 3/3 zombies, and all your other zombies get +1/+1 as well. So it's solid in a zombie tribal deck. It's also the fact that that enchantment has an immediate effect, whereas a lot of those sort of give all your creatures +1/+1, they don't have an immediate impact other than like the +1/+1, whereas that's creating the tokens too. Seraph of the Suns, Shadowstorm Vizier, Vizier of Remedies, and Cascading Cataracts is our rare. So this is a indestructible land. You can tap it to add colours to your mana pool, or pay 5 and add 5 mana in any combination of colours to your mana pool. So if you're playing multicoloured decks, we haven't talked about that before, have we? I have a feeling I've said that before today. Yeah, if you're playing multicoloured decks and still need the fixing that late in the game, it's a very, very useful ability actually. Might see a little bit of play, at least as like a 1 or 2 odd. Some people might go all in on it though, who knows. Kenra Charioteer, very, very annoying to play against in Limited. So a red and a green for a 3/3 Jackal Warrior with Trample, and other creatures you control have Trample, so it's just solid card. Deem Worthy, Cast Out. Cast Out should, I would imagine, see play, so 3 and a white for an enchantment with Flash. When it enters the battlefield, exile target non-land permanent an opponent controls until Cast Out leaves the battlefield. but it also has cycling for a white, so yeah, should be pretty good. Oh, Glorybringer, one of the higher value rares in the set. So it is 3 and 2 red for a 4/4 dragon. It has flying and haste, and you may exert it as it attacks. If you do, it deals 4 damage to target non-dragon creature an opponent controls. This is going to swing boards by itself, in theory. The fact that it has haste as well is kind of the kicker on it, I guess. Yeah, it's just a good card. So, Destined to Lead, Flameblade Adept, or Adept, however you want to pronounce that, Decimated Beetle, and Regal. Oh, God, I'm going to mispronounce this, aren't I? Carousel? I have no idea. I used to teach English, and I still have no idea. It's a cat. It's a Regal cat. That'll do. 3 and 2 white for a 3/3 cat. Other cats you control get +1/+1 and have lifelink. And when it enters the battlefield, create 2 1/1 white cat creature tokens with lifelink. That's again solid. You're getting a 3/3 body with 2 2/2 cats because of the Anthem effect, and everything has lifelink. So yeah, pretty good. Down to the last couple of layers. So let's just blast through. I'm just going to skip to the uncommons at least. Sacred Excavation, Grimstrider, and Censor. Our rare is Sweltering Sun. So this is another good red sort of board wipe, depending on what your opponent's playing. 1 and 2 red for a sorcery. Deals 3 damage to each creature and it has cycling 3. So overall solid card, purely because of the cycling effect, and dealing 3 to everything is it's pretty good. Merciless Javelineer, Protection of the Heckma, terrible card. Onward to Victory. Target creature gets +X/+0 until end of turn, where X is its power, and then victory. Target creature gains double strike until end of turn. Yeah, pretty good if you cast them both on the same turn. New Perspectives is our rare. So when it enters the battlefield, draw 3 cards. Probably should have said the mana cost as well, so 5 and a blue for an enchantment. As long as you have 7 or more cards in hand, you may pay 0 rather than pay cycling costs. If you're going for a blue god strategy, this is a great card for that. Because the blue god can't attack or block unless you have 7 or more cards in hand. It's also probably going to be a pretty good commander card, considering in Commander it's fairly easy to like get rid of the hand size limit. So Manglehorn, another one that could have potentially shut down Saheeli combo if that was still a thing after last night. Hazoret's Monument, so the red monument, and whenever you cast a creature spell you may discard a card if you do draw a card, so pretty good. Nest of Scarabs and Chandler Initiate, nice. So this is a 2 mana, 3/4, but when it enters the battlefield, put 3 -1/-1 counters on target creature you control, which again can be itself. Tap it, remove a -1/-1 counter from Chandler Initiate, add 1 mana of any colour to your mana pool. So it's great for ramping and colour fixing. Solid card, it's probably going to see play. Sixth Sense, Edifice of Authority, Trial of Knowledge, and Cut to Ribbons. So 1 and a red for a sorcery, cut deals 4 damage to target creature. Not amazing at sorcery speed, but not the worst for that mana cost. Ribbons is X and 2 black. Exile it from your graveyard when you cast it, and each opponent loses X life. So just can actually finish off games for you. Back to pre-release, I did actually see it finish off the game. On a Crop Captain, start to finish, Renewed Faith, and Honored Hydra is our rare. So 5 and a green for a 6/6 Snake Hydra with Trample. And the best part of this card is it has Embalm for 3 and a green, which is ridiculously cheap. Yeah, I mean, that could go straight into a green deck with the right strategy. Ketra's Attendant, reduced to rubble by force again, and another Aven Mind Sensor. Last layer. Shepherd Monitor, another Edifice, Stir the Sands, and Archfiend of Ifnir. I do like this card actually. 3 and 2 black for a 5/4 demon with flying. Whenever you cycle or discard another card, put a -1/-1 counter on each creature your opponents control, and it has cycling 2 on itself. If you're going like cycling heavy strategy or discard heavy strategy, this is, oh yeah, it's going to be good. The kind of card you build the deck around. So Zenith Seeker. It's a pretty interesting one actually. So 3 and a blue for a 2/2 bird wizard with flying, and whenever you cycle or discard a card, target creature gains flying until end of turn. Watchful Naga, Faith of the Devoted, and Failure to Comply. So this one's another interesting card actually. So 1 and a blue to return a target spell to its owner's hand at instant speed. And then Comply is cast it from your graveyard and exile it. So choose a card name. Until your next turn, your opponents can't cast spells with the chosen name. Funnily enough, you already know what cards are in, well, a card that's in their hand because you have probably just cast Failure, and that is the wrong pile. Last pack. I mean, I'm hoping for a mythic. Helps if I don't skip past like everything. So Onward to Victory, Devoted Cropmate, Merciless Javelinier, and Champion of Ronus. Nice. So another one of those. Solid card. And a foil Cascading Cataracts, which actually looks really nice. See if we can get it off, like just about there. So yeah, looks really cool in foil. So yeah, not bad overall. Pretty happy with that box. We got 3 gods out of it, including 1 foil. So the Bontu, another Bontu, Ronus, and we got the Vizier as well. So all solid mythics. Nothing terrible. And of course we have the awesome looking counterspell Invocation. That does look nice. I'm just going to stare at this for hours now. And yeah, some solid rares as well, like the Champion of Ronus for instance, the Glory Bringer. Yeah. Liliana's Mastery, you've got a couple of the cycle lands. So yeah, pretty good box. I'm happy with that one. So, well, thank you for watching anyway. Remember you can all the cards you've seen in the video, and all the others from Amonkhet. And previous sets can be bought and traded on our website, bigorbigcards.co.uk. And if you enjoyed the video, please give it a like and subscribe to the channel. So thank you for watching. I've been Chris and shall probably continue to be so. So bye.